Hello, hello, hello. Are we live? That is the big question. Are we live? Welcome to Nobby On Cars chat. Yeah. Hmm. Are we live? Are we not live? Yes, we are. Okay, we're live. Good. Good, good, good. But the only thing is, I don't seem to be able to see the chat. So if anyone can start chatting to me here, so let me know that you can ask things, that would be good. Seems to be there. Okay. So, welcome to the first ever Nobby On Cars live stream. How and why is it taking me this long? Well, I suppose it just wasn't something I was interested in getting involved in. Certainly at the start of the channel, it was all about car reviews, um, reviewing things. Live messages are visible. Okay. So once again, it's anyone out there. Anyone out there? Say hello or forever hold your peace. So at least I know this bloody thing is working. Anyway, so why this live stream? Well, just to first of all say thanks to so many of you who responded to my, I don't know what you call that video, walking around video, where I walked around and spoke about some changes that have been going on in the world of YouTube, in terms of ad revenue and views, and some other people are getting in touch now. So no option to text on my side. Okay. Yeah, what's that about? Engage with your audience. Answer viewer questions live. Okay. Anyone respond now? See, that's the other thing. I've set up this whole thing by myself. Lights, camera, action, baby. And it's not something that I naturally am gifted at, I will say. So let's see if this works this way. So it's working. I'm trying to even, how do I explain this to you, how this works, because there's no point trying to go into what I can see versus what you can see. But the software I'm using did promise me that we would have a chat mode. So I'm not sure. It said comments will appear in this window. Anyway, look, doesn't really matter. I do have a plan. Like every good agenda has a bit of a plan. So yeah, first of all, thanks very much for all the messages that I got from people, just in relation to what you like to watch on the channels, what you don't like to watch on the channel, what you might want to see more of. Obviously, I've based the channel on new car reviews, so that's fundamentally what it's known for. But a lot of you mentioned used cars for a number of reasons. Some of you said they're more interesting. Some people will agree with that, some people won't. Some of you said the price of new cars is a prohibitive factor. So you might need a new car, but you might necessarily be able to afford what is now a 30, 40 grand car and the rest. And there was quite a few messages about car news and just general stuff. And I suppose I've always thought of the channel as just being a car review channel. So I suppose it's up to me as well, but it's nice to know there's potentially an appetite out there that people would be interested in, not just car reviews, you know, whether it's car events or a bit of reaction videos to news, such as last night, for example, was it the night before? The night before, I think it was, where Volkswagen announced that they're putting some brake horsepower in their EVs behind a paywall. And some people would obviously be shocked by that. And understandably be wondering why would you do that? So maybe that's a direct or direction the channel could go into. I suppose. Let me just see again. Can I see is anybody leaving messages? Because yeah, it's just it would be very helpful to be able to respond to people. No, still not working. Okay. Chat. No. Trying all kinds of things here, which I appreciate. It's probably not particularly interesting. But yeah, I might have a look just see on the actual channel itself. Is there a way of seeing what people are saying? Which would also be handy. Anyway, so things I've taken from the video. Actually, look, it's nice for people to say nice things, and wasn't really the motivator for me doing the video. But a lot of you said, don't change anything, just do what you're doing and keep them the same length and all that stuff, and that's nice. But I suppose to keep doing anything the same for what's now 7 years would be a little bit mad. So yeah, it's nice to just get some feedback on the channel. It's my channel, but I feel like it's everyone's channel because people can engage, they can watch, they can leave messages, they can do whatever. So it's just nice to sort of feel that it's a bit of a community, I suppose, if that makes sense. I'm just trying one more thing which might help me be able to find out. Can you leave comments? Like it's I suppose it's weird that YouTube make the most technical part of this easy, in my opinion, but then something like just viewing questions, no, we don't want to do that. Something else that came up as well was people talking about subscribers. I don't think I really mentioned subscribers too much in that video because they're a metric for some people, and yeah, it looks great when your channel has loads and loads of subscribers, but it doesn't necessarily mean that a video isn't going to work just because you haven't got loads of subscribers. So I suppose I wasn't really doing it to say, hey, I want more subscribers. It was more about, okay, and since I've done that video, I've done some more researching about it. It was more about you're doing everything normally as you have been doing, and all of a sudden the views are kind of the same, but the money you're getting every month from YouTube was just going down and down, consistently down. And there are a couple of thoughts out there, some about is it America, possibly. So I still haven't found an actual reason, but there are channels out there, not just automotive channels, with more subscribers, and they all seem to, I was going down threads on Reddit, and they all seem to have similar kind of complaints. So yeah, there's no real rhyme or reason to it, but and I did say if you can watch an ad or two on the channel, that would really help. And actually, since that video, it has helped. Now, I'm not expecting everybody to sit through every ad, and there was quite a few people saying some of the ads are like the products they're advertising, which is totally out of my control, is a bit ridiculous. But yeah, look, people have been doing that. So I don't want to kind of dwell too much on the whole ad thing because that wasn't really the idea of getting into this. But some of the other car stuff that caught my eye. So obviously the brake horsepower paywall is a bit of a rolling news story. Not really sure what the story behind it is. Are they just trying to crank more money out of people? Is it the way the automotive world will be going with some car companies charging for games these days? Kia have a bit of a subscription model. BMW do. Audi, if you want to have adaptive cruise control on your car, they will charge you a fee for that. Same with maps. So it's not necessarily a new thing, but I suppose to unleash brake horsepower in a car is kind of a new thing. And Tesla obviously have their different levels of autonomous driving that they're in every car, but you've got to pay to unlock them. I think some of it is up to €7,000. So that was one of the big news stories this week. The other one was the CEO of Mercedes saying we need a reality check. Ola Kalunus saying that if the targets of 2025 of a ban on new combustion engines, 2035 stays in place, the European automotive industry will collapse. Because on the basis of the EV sales of this year versus last year, 8.4% of Mercedes global sales of the first half of 2015 are 8.4%, down from 9.7% in the same period in 2014. So trending downwards, essentially. And Mercedes, who are one of the few companies that still make a plug-in hybrid diesel, are obviously a big brand who are going, well, don't know if this is going to work for us anymore, guys, so you'll better let us know. And obviously that's a moving target. The other thing is, well, the for those who maybe you have been watching, maybe haven't been watching, so the grants in Ireland versus the UK, they announced in the UK that they would give a certain amount, up to a maximum of I think it's £3,500, to specific models of cars. So in Ireland, it's an EV. If it's within the threshold, you get a grant, and that was a bigger grant a few years ago. It's now obviously smaller. Currently, there's not one single car in the UK that has qualified for the entire grant. They are wondering if the new Nissan Leaf, which will be built in the UK, will qualify for the top tier grant. But some cars this week from Cupra and Volkswagen, I think they announced a couple of Vauxhalls as well. So it's very much, it seems anyway on the surface, that it's a grant based on, is your car made in Europe or not? And if it is, we'll give you some money. You don't have to apply for it. It just comes off the price of the car. But it did make me think, well, we're doing things in Ireland kind of more straightforward compared to our friends in the UK, because it's just not as convoluted. The other change that has happened since the 1st of July, but you can put it on any plate you want really, is the fact that you now get a little green strip on the side of your EV if you want. Some dealerships I saw this week announcing if you come back with your pre-252 car, they will fit you some new number plates free of charge, and put your little green strip on the side. I look, some people want to, kind of show the world that, yes, look, these are normal cars, they exist among us. And other people seem to be really, really triggered by this. So it's just weird how people's minds work, that a little green strip can bother so many people. Not sure why, but it's the world we live in right now. So that was another bit of car news that I saw this week. Couple of questions I got on Instagram early on today, before when we announced we were doing this, was from Holly Dolly 122, probably not her real name. Commute is 100 kilometers round trip for work. Best electric cars to look at. Have diesel. We're looking to change, with very limited choice available in diesel now. Yes, that is true. Less and less diesel is coming to market. Skoda are one of the obvious brands to go to if you do want a diesel. But 100 kilometers round trip, an old Nissan Leaf nearly would do that. So I think that kind of mileage is, you certainly don't need a diesel for it anyway. But again, we were told in 2008, no, you need to get a diesel. The emissions are better. It's better for the environment. So hopefully they don't do a U-turn on EVs someday. I don't think that'll happen though. So there's already a reply from Magic Mullane. Very helpful. If you can fit a home charger, it's a no-brainer. Running costs will be a fraction of what they are, not to mention the equivalent EV. In a lot of cases, is better value than the ICE model in the brand's range. Skoda Elrock is fantastic value at the moment. I don't know if Magic works for Skoda. I don't believe so. But yeah, I suppose any car in the market, really, any new EV in 2025, well, to be honest with you, since probably the last 5 years, will easily do that. And it really depends on your budget. I was only talking to someone today who's looking for a car for their son, who's I think 20. And for those my age, early 40s, maybe late 30s, whatever, back in our day, when you needed your first car, you got a banger, something affordable, something cheap and cheerful. If you knocked it off a pillar or you had a tip in it, it wasn't the end of the world. And relatively speaking, you could get it insured. Now, when you try and get a car for a first-time driver, there's a couple of things really going against you. And that whole banger for his car is one of them. So many insurance companies now are saying, "Oh no, we don't insure anything over 8 years old," for example, which was generally beyond where you'd go as your first car. You might have a 10-year-old Ford Fiesta, whatever it was, something you could afford and you can afford to insure. So now the insurance companies are kind of pushing people towards newer cars because they're safer. And still charging you a lot because, oh well, you've no claims bonus, you haven't driven before, you have to prove yourself. But that criteria for a first car now has changed, I suppose, compared to 20 years ago. A small car. They're still small cars because, they don't want you to have anything fast. You couldn't do that. But yeah, that kind of small car segment that everyone started out is kind of gone. And again, this lady, her 20-year-old wanted to learn how to drive in a manual car, even though he's pretty much resigned to the fact that he will just be driving automatics, but still wants to have the basic skill of being able to drive a manual car, which I do think is a good idea. I recommended a couple of things. Dacia Spring, but obviously that's not going to be manual, but it is sort of 15 grand. Can't really get into too much trouble with 60 brake horsepower as first time driver. But yeah, let me know. Even I'll obviously post this video after we've done the live part of it. So if anybody has any stories of trying to get insured on first cars, and what are people looking at if they've got kids of that age, and what's the criteria? Again, back in our day, it would have been a Volkswagen Polo, and off you go, and don't be speeding, and enjoy your mates coming around, and all that stuff. So that, I think, has changed, and is that one of the reasons as well why younger people don't seem as bothered in driving anymore? They're like, what's the point? It's too stressful. So I do see that side of it as well. I'm just checking that there's not a lot of comments that I haven't managed to get to, which is really annoying me. But I'll look into it and I'll find out why this hasn't wanted to chat, and I will, of course, hopefully change that for the next one. Streaming software, we are live. Connection is excellent. Plenty of you watching, which is great. Thank you for that. Can't understand it. Oh, hang on. Is there a way? Boom, 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 boom. And I know you'll be sort of saying, well, could you not have done all this stuff before? Well, you actually can't. There's no real sort of hearsay of practice, so to speak. If you get me. Have we got? No, I can see all the comments and everything, or I can see the comment box, but it's just not there. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but it would have been nice to just kind of interact with people and see how it's going. Chat is disabled for this live stream. Why? I'm trying to edit on the fly basically here. Oh, hang on. Not made for kids. Why? Okay. Let me see, does that fix things? Right with this, and appreciate you staying with me as I troubleshoot my own second video. Let me see. That's disabled. Don't disable. That's it. Only I'd done some IT work. Where? More along the lines that would have been beneficial right now. Now, were there any other questions that I got earlier on? Because it was one or two. Also, might as well talk about cars I'm driving this week. Driving the Ioniq 9 from Hyundai. Not my first time in the car. Has a massive battery, a range of potentially over 600 kilometers. It is absolutely huge. I'm still on 88%, having collected it on Monday. Now that's obviously all relative into what I'm the mileage I'm doing, but yeah, it's been perfect kind of family car. And also, if you are looking for a 7-seater and you do want to get an electric car, you're still quite limited. Obviously, the Kia EV9. There is the Volvo EX90, which I'll have on the channel actually in a few weeks' time, but that is very, very expensive. So actually, the price of the Ioniq 9, kind of a bargain by comparison, but a huge car. Hello to Yvonne Kennedy. Love seeing different varieties of cars, especially EVs, but I would love to see a week in the life of a car, shopping with the boot, parking in multi-story car parks, things like that. I watched your vids and helped so much walking into garages and not being bamboozled. Well, look, thanks very much for starters. And it's interesting. There's quite a few more ladies. So YouTube gives you huge amounts of background information to your videos. You can it's unnerving the amount of stuff that you can find out about your channel and stuff. But there's more and more women watching, which is great. Yeah, if you can watch a video and you can go in and know some things about the car, and I think everyone, I don't even know if it's just a woman thing. I think a lot of people might feel they are intimidated by car salespeople, or it's not even that they're intimidated. It's just it's an area that they're not familiar with, so they kind of want to go in and feel like they're not green. It's like anything. It's like when you, I don't know, have a tiler and you want to like, oh yeah, so what's that machine there to use to cut the tiles? I think as humans we feel inferior to certain types of jobs and trades, and you don't want to appear green because you're afraid of being, I suppose, robbed. And that's one of the reasons, I suppose, if a YouTube video helps you sort of go in and go, right, I already know what the boot is about. I think we have comments. If it helps you kind of know what's the story with the boot, does it have vehicle to load? These are things that will just empower you, I suppose, to ask some more questions. Does this work? Yes, it's working. Jerry McCormick. Aha. Chat open. Okay. Go to channel. Blah 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 blah. Okay, grand. YouTube, stop messing. Seriously. Hello to Norman. Norman Reedy. Any idea when vehicle to load and vehicle to grid is being rolled out by ESB after recent storms? Would be great to have this backup in rural areas. I'm so glad we have chat working. It only took me 20 minutes to troubleshoot it. So I know they're using some Nissan Leafs at the moment in ESB to try and basically try the vehicle to grid. If you're not familiar with what it is, essentially, as Norman has rightly pointed out, the when your power goes, you're kind of snookered. Yes, you have an EV sitting outside that's maybe full of charge, or not even full of charge. Once it's above 20%, it'll work, and you can use your car basically as a power bank, but not a power bank to charge your phone, a power bank to power your house. And the other benefit of this is, and it's in the Netherlands for quite a few years, there are certain parts of Germany, not even Germany has the whole thing rolled out yet, and basically you can plug into your car and extract the power. And if you have an 80 kilowatt hour battery full of charge, that's maybe 7 days worth of charge for your average house. Like my house just runs on electricity. And on a very, very heavy day, you might use, without charging an electric car, you might use 10 kilowatt hours of power. So it's a really clever way of, obviously in a power cut, but also when you have plenty of power and things are normal. For anyone who has solar, people will be used to selling back to the grid any excess energy. You can do that with the car as well. So you could be, selling all this power back at a rate of maybe 20 cents a kilowatt hour, charging your car at nighttime again cheaply, and then going again. So it's really, really good. I don't know why it's taken us so long to roll it out. I suppose the grid is the grid, and you might have all these different energy providers, but they still don't get to actually control our grid. So sooner the better. But yeah, they are trialing it. I just don't know when. New A5 Sportback PHEV or an i440e. Currently in a 231 A5 Sportback with a diesel doing 20 a year. Can we definitely have an appreciation for the A5 in general? I think I only saw it the other day. The designer says, and he will do. And I'm talking about this is the gen that came out in 2000. It was the end of 2007, 8. That A5 coupe still looks absolutely class. It's a timeless design. Look, I'll say two things, as I would often say to people in this kind of scenario. A lot of people just stay with the car they've had, and they get into a fresher model of it. So I would test one. I would see i540 or i440 e. Are we talking new? I think we are talking new. Again, as I've just been saying, you can charge it so cheaply. Does kind of drive like a BMW drives. Obviously a bit more weight with the battery, but I think they've done a pretty good job of it. I would definitely rule out the A5 first. If it is that new PHEV battery, you're getting sort of 100 kilometers minimum out of that thing, so it's not a bad one. But yeah, I would test drive an i4. Yeah, it's a tough one. I possibly A5. What's your take on the Hyundai Kia security issues? Should Hyundai Kia offer free fixes instead of charging people? I'll be honest with you, David, I'm not fully across that story. I think if any brand has an issue with a car that is on their end, yes, they should not be charging people for that. Daniel, love the channel, thanks very much. If your car's vehicle is low, then you can set up your own system to run the house. You can. There was a guy who did that, I think with a Kia EV9, but didn't he have some sort of background in electronics or something? He kind of knew what he was doing. Hello to Nikolai Hogan. Brand new or demo? Demo, I think. Unless, there's some particular reason why you can't get, the car you want is just brand new off a new model or whatever. Any more questions? Feel free to leave them in the comments box. I think we're finally up and running there, and that was my fault. Apologies for having the video set to for children, and obviously the YouTube settings for they don't want kids getting bullied or whatever online, so that is fair enough, but apologies for that. And also let me know if I'm just rambling. Are these videos any use to anybody? Should I do more of them? A good opportunity, by the way, to say thank you for watching. Thank you for your support in the channel. Please feel free to subscribe and like if you haven't done so yet, but you probably already have. Billy, have a new Lexus RX PHEV. Love it. Any word on the PHEV range increase or facelift? That car is out about 3 years now, isn't it? Beautiful car. So comfortable. So luxurious. Quite a while since I drove it. Huge car as well. I love Lexus. I had no real experience of them until I started reviewing cars. And they're just incredibly refined. Haven't been at quite a few Lexus launches now. You get to talk to their engineers. Sometimes they have translators because they will literally fly people over from Lexus HQ. But the over engineering that goes into their cars. I only recently convinced someone to buy an ES on the basis that they'd always driven sort of E-classes and Beamers and stuff, and they didn't really want to go there again. And they had an A8 plug-in hybrid, which they had to sell, unfortunately. But I said, just go to a dealership and try it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. And they bought it. And they're just one of those cars. Kia seemed to be aware of the security issues, warned about it when looking at Kia. Well, that's good. Kia in Ireland and Hyundai as well, they're different offerings. So Kia report to the factory. Hyundai are a private import in Ireland, but they're still representing these brands, so they still have to adhere to the same kind of rules. These brands HQ don't want people being disappointed and messed around with. So yeah. Did the new Volkswagen Transporter drive like the Transit it's based on, says David? Yeah, it did, yeah. Although I managed to get it stuck on a beach in Cyprus, or no, Greece. So that wasn't I'll get it for emotional maybe. Even Nobby, what's your opinion on the Ford B Max? Good car, practical car. Are Ford selling cars these days? Also there. So Henry Ford's great, I think great grandson at this stage. Only this week spoke about, yes, we don't have many car offerings for passenger cars. We are aware of it, and we will be rectifying that essentially. I think you'll always manage to get a buyer for a B Max if you're looking. Considering placing my 2022 Model 3 Performance with the newer model, but curious to your thoughts on how the Ioniq 5N compares to that. A much rawer car. The gear sounds that they've done in the Ioniq 5N are absolutely brilliant. Like, if you haven't seen the video, there is a video for that, thanks to Mooney's on Long Mile Road. He gave me a go in that car. The gear changes, they're just brilliant, and it's insanely quick. It's actually too quick. You don't need that much power. The Model 3 is absolutely fine. But day-to-day usability, the Ioniq 5M was still a car you could use on a daily basis. Not like, it's not, you can dial things back. It's not gonna jerk in stop-start traffic. But the Model 3 Performance is it's a nice upgrade on what they had, and especially in the interior. Probably not as dramatic as much as the Model Y was, because the Model Y suspension was just very, very messy. Actually better to be in if you had more people in the car, but the new one is definitely better. This is great. All the comments, thank you. I'm so sorry about not having this thing turned on at the start. Do you think the new RAV4 will get a massive price hike, and any inside info on the launch? Cheers from Brian Sweeney. I don't have any. Look, every new car that's coming out getting a facelift is going up in value. I know brands try really, really hard, especially when they are negotiating directly with a factory, to try and make the increase as small as possible. There isn't a manufacturer selling cars in Ireland today that isn't aware of the prices going up, and isn't aware that people are struggling maybe, or they're kind of looking at the prices of cars going, Jesus, that was 12 grand cheaper a few years ago. But yeah, they'll use a facelift as an opportunity for increasing the price. So I'd imagine the way Toyota work as well, and they are really, really sensitive to customers, Toyota Ireland. I would say you're probably talking a couple of grand. But your RAV4 should be also very much in demand. And there's so many Toyota dealers in Ireland, so play them off each other. Just go around and see who's willing to give you what, I suppose. Saw your recent video about the channel. Are you committed? And is YouTube paying enough to continue, or will you have to go to some sponsors route? Great channel and great reviews. Thanks, Billy. Covered this a little while ago earlier on, but I was aware I couldn't interact with people. No, I'm definitely here for the long haul. I could be back doing other full-time work, but this is generally quite enjoyable, and it's something that doesn't really feel like work. So I'm very much committed as long as YouTube are being fair to people. Now, as I said earlier on in the video, since I did that walking around video, and hopefully it wasn't too ranty, more of people are watching. Well, I can see it, because you can, every day you get a report basically on how your revenue is doing, how your views are doing, and everything. And since that video, the revenue is up. And I get it if an ad comes on and I do it myself, but actually the more I'm watching YouTube, if I'm looking for something, I don't know, information on how to change a toilet seat, I am just more aware of trying to give that person's ad the 20 seconds of viewing, because we are in a world where no one really wants to pay for anything, and I get that. And YouTube, you don't have to pay. Obviously, you can pay for a membership so you don't get ads. But if you even looking at newspapers, for example, you can now buy a yearly subscription to the Irish Times for far less than it would have ever cost you to buy a daily newspaper. So I think people should, and maybe I have this wrong, should be willing to pay, not a huge amount, but a little bit. And in this case, you don't even have to pay. It's just watch an ad. to pay for content, to pay for journalism, to pay for consumer advice. You know, and so I had a lot of people saying, look, I'm paying for Disney and I'm paying for Netflix, so I'm not buying YouTube membership. That's fine. To be honest with you, it suits me. You don't get much from YouTube membership anyway. Every month you get like a different breakout of what money comes from what. By 99% of revenue comes from the ads at the start of the videos and the middle and the end, whatever it is. Have you seen Becky Evans drifting the new Ioniq N? No, I haven't, but I will. Yvonne Kennedy, do you think MG ZS EV throw the tech goods at the car, but they are not the best built? I will say one thing about MG. Every new model that comes out from them, and the S5 is the most recent one I've driven, they get better all the time. I asked about this in that MG video as well. Do they have kind of just horror stories, whatever, or negative stories, or how's the service? And because they sell a lot of cars in the UK, so if you go to the UK, you will definitely see some reports of people having bad circumstances and experiences with a car, reliability, whatever. You could say that about any brand. Like, the UK is a massive, massive market compared to us. Their car park is so much bigger. So when you wanted to see a reliability survey on a car, go to one of those surveys that they do in the UK, because it's far more accurate than based on the numbers here. But when I asked that question here, I got a lot of replies of people that have had MGs in Ireland, and they're like, no issues, maintenance, that's it. So I don't. They're definitely getting better all the time, but I don't know. Is it fair to say, you know, the MG ZS EV was not the best built? Certainly stuff like the lane keep assist in it was really, really vicious. You'd be driving along and it thinks you're going to change a lane, and it would like violently swerve you to the left. How might a prospective sponsor reach you? NobbyOnCars@gmail.com. And actually, thank you for bringing that back up again. A lot of you said, you know, you kind of lose your impartiality if you take on a sponsor. Just to be clear on that, you could absolutely have a sponsor who is an insurance company or a tire company, or I don't know, a reg checking company before you buy a car, whatever. Like, absolutely, you can't have Nobby On Cars sponsored by Kia. That would just never work. So yeah, get in touch. I don't. So I think it's very, very possible to have a sponsor and be still independent, impartial, and all that. And I did when the facelift Xpeng G6 is coming to Ireland and the G9. I'm driving both of them in Munich in September. I will get back to you on that. I don't think they have a load of G6s because they knew this was coming when they launched the car in February here. That was literally just the day where they announced a facelift in China. And Volkswagen again are now working. Well, they invested 700 million in Xpeng a few years ago. They announced more collaborative stuff with them this week. So I'd imagine G6 before the end of the year. G9, I don't know, but I will let you know. Have car dealerships convinced so many conscientious consumers into buying PHEVs instead of BEVs, when BEVs have never been better and the motorway charging network has never been better? It says Ocean Froggy, like that name. I don't know if it's dealerships. I think it's brands. Like, as I mentioned earlier on, the Volkswagen Group PHEVs now are doing 120, certainly 100 minimum. Leap Motor are about to announce a couple of new cars here in Ireland, and like they're range extenders. So you have a petrol engine, which have a really decent sized battery that will do maybe 150 kilometers. And I think there's a huge amount. Like, yes, electric sales are increasing every time the figures are released, but there's still a huge amount of people that are buying petrol and hybrids. So there is clearly a market there. So if you're a manufacturer, you're kind of going, okay, what do people want right now? Like, look at Toyota and their self-charging hybrids. It's been massive for them because there's a huge amount of people that they just don't want an EV, or they can't afford an EV, or they think they're doing that trip from Donegal to Wexford every morning, which they're not, but they think they are, and they just want to have that kind of cushion, buffer space, whatever it is. So I think the more range PHEVs get, the more it could potentially delay people getting into full battery electric vehicles. Yes. And I do agree with you. Most of them, you know, can well do the job. Use Skoda Kodiaq Sportline or Superb Combi Sportline. Superb. That's it. Prices have gone through the roof. Looking to make the right decision for future PCP. Well, look, it's someone else's problem, kind of. If you get a PCP, for me, I would get the Combi Sportline. Boot better, slower down. The Superb is just a brilliant car, but it is absolutely expensive. And again, Skoda Ireland are aware of it. I know from talking to people there, they would love to be selling more of them. Will they allow a 14-year-old to drive quadricycles such as the Citroen Ami? So I do a podcast called Drivers Public Podcast with Paddy Common. Proudly supported. Thank you to Done Deal, who support us on that. And I'm actually going to be talking to the managing director of Citroen Ireland about the Ami on the first episode. We're coming back this week. I don't think so in Ireland. We're very, very backwards in some of that. If you go through some of the Road Traffic Act legislation, some of it is so old. And I don't know if I'd want a 14-year-old in charge of a car. It's not a car, but it will live amongst the cars on Irish roads. And I've driven that car on public roads, and it's quite intimidating when you have a larger vehicle, or I had an oil tanker behind me in one, and it was a mad experience. I think 16 could be good. I think it would be a good way to educate kids. Citroen should probably get these cars into schools. Opel do a fantastic thing where you can go with under 18-year-olds. I think it could be 14 to Mondello, and you can drive a car, and they teach you what goes wrong, what can go wrong. It would be certainly in schools. Citroen, get on it. I'll go with you. Would a Peugeot 3008 232 PHEV be a good buy for 34k? It's a lot of money, isn't it? Those cars were very, very expensive at the time. A range of only 40 kilometers, just like 3000. No, I wouldn't. Currently have a diesel to 2019, bought after watching your channel in 2022. There's an example. That 3008, well, certainly the 5008, it's jumped by 12 grand since it came out. And that 40 kilometers won't be 40 kilometers. No, I wouldn't. Most overrated car in the market at the moment, within reason, not like a supercar, more every day. Overrated. God, yeah, kind of have me there. I got a lot of grief on YouTube for saying that the BYD C-Line 7, the dual motor, wasn't really up to the power. I thought the chassis can't really handle it. It has 523 brake horsepower in the dual motor, but there is a single motor one which is just fine. It's enough, and it just got this wall of abuse from presumably BYD fans, saying I was wrong, don't know what I was talking about, and I don't know if there's overrated cars. There's certainly expensive cars in the market right now. There isn't really such thing as a bad car anymore. Like if it's priced well, Elmer, big hello. Love the F104 at work and enjoying your car content now. Keep up the amazing work. Well, I'm on Radio Nova on Saturdays at 10 a.m. in the morning, so you should check that out instead. Thinking of a C-Class 2023, would you think a C300D or an E? Do about 10 kilometers a year. E, if you can get one. Yeah, that's where I would go with it. I think buying a diesel and doing 10,000 kilometers a year, those days are over. You're just DPF issues, not giving the car the mileage it needs. No, I just wouldn't bother. Like, if you've ever driven a diesel car, obviously they warm up much faster than they did in the old days. But even how long it takes a diesel engine to warm up by comparison, I wouldn't do that. Jerry agreed. BYD C-Line 7 single motor, good value, but they really need to up the charge to 800 volts. Why the name Nobby? Because my second name is Noble, and it was a nickname that just stuck. BMW iX1 or Skoda Elrock? By the way, I really love that new Skoda ad. I don't know if you've seen it with Darren from Darren and Joe. And it's him in different scenes, but he has a different hat on and stuff. And how he pronounces Skoda, it's very, very funny. Different cars, really? Any pointers? Elrock is good. I wouldn't go mad on the extras because as soon as you do, it's just kind of expensive, and why not get an Enyaq? iX1 feels good to drive anyway. The interior is a bit meh. Some of the BMW stuff has gone a little bit strange when it comes to plastics. Love the channel, bud. Thanks, Daniel. Any more questions? Because I will probably wrap this up soon, and really do appreciate those of you who have taken the time to stream in. At least I have the comments stuff sorted now. Also, I think we're from the same area. Went to Closh to N. I finished in 2002. I can't click on your picture too big, Elmer. But yes, I finished in 2000. She'll be still there, some people might say. So do I have anything else on my things that I wanted to chat to people about? Oh, sorry. Yes, there is a motoring club meeting happening this Saturday for Dublin Fire Brigade in the training centre. It's on the Malahide Road. If you know Casino Marino, it's just before that, just after Fairview, basically. As soon as you start the Malahide Road, crossing where Bono went to school. It's on this Saturday from 10:30 till 1. It's a £5 to show your car. And kids, €5 display fee with all proceeds going to Oscars Kids Ireland. So that's this Saturday, the 23rd, 10:30. The 1909 Motoring Club, and it's a coffee morning. And yeah, you should go and have a look. I actually have to go to a wedding on Friday night. Otherwise, I probably would have went there with my 911 that I bought last year. L-Rocker EV3 big battery. Did a video on both with Done Deal with Dave O'Queeve. Personal preference, really, both very similar things. The EV9 I think is slightly faster charging. I think the L-Rock is a slightly bigger boot. It's like 470 litres or 475. Looks wise, not really much in it. I mean, neither of them are stunning looking cars. They're they're designed for a purpose. So I try them both, see what personal preference is. Warranty's obviously a bit longer in the EV3. Brian says, in a dilemma to wait for the RAV4 2026 or pull the trigger on a Leon Tourer VZ PHEV 251. What's your opinion on the Cooper brand? Really like the Cooper brand. It's done really interesting things in terms of how much that brand has grown for Volkswagen Group. I'm sure most people are aware, but they are Volkswagens underneath, but they just have made them so much more interesting to look at. The design is brilliant. Their boss departed, Cupra, I think was the start of this year. Wayne Griffith was his name. Still not entirely sure why. I don't know if they've announced a new boss. Not sure why either. All that's kind of by the by, though, in terms of your question, Brian. Very different cars. Again, RAV4, I mean, yeah, the Leon Tourer will have loads of room in the boot. RAV4 2026. Like the Cooper brand, definitely looks more interesting. RAV4, like, dealerships don't have time to wash used RAV4s coming in before they're sold. So if you want the higher driving position, RAV. If you want something that looks kind of head-turny, Cupra. The other day, Petropez said his ad revenue had halved in the last year. What do you think? Why do you think it's down? Or advertisers' budget's being cut? Possibly a bit of that. Depending on how many viewers you typically get from America, and I don't have a huge amount of viewers from America. Just the uncertainty, tariffs. Yes, I'm sure brands have cut budgets. But one thing's, like, YouTube have not communicated with creators at all, from my experience anyway, to say, look, you might be aware, your revenue's down, stick with it, we're going through some, due to whatever, but they just haven't communicated with people. So it's kind of, you're just sort of going from one month to the next going, okay, maybe next month it'll be better. And yes, summer holidays are always a bit quieter. And like, don't get me wrong, like I was reading some comments on Reddit, some people are like, they're on the floor. I am maybe 30% down on the start of this year, and I'm lucky that I do other work as well. I'm not completely reliant on YouTube, but it is, yeah, it's difficult. And I know Peter, who goes by the name of Petroped, and subscribe to him if you're not. He does some great stuff, and he's a lovely fella. And I was kind of shocked because he has like 250,000 subscribers or something like that. He will put up a video, and within a few hours of like 10,000 views on it. So he's done very, very well. But it was interesting to hear even his revenue has been affected, and Yeah, he actually commented on that video, and yeah, it's just weird. RAV4 is so expensive secondhand. Yeah, always have been. Just a very very desirable car. Um, Toyota are just one of those brands. You know, look at how well they sell here. Like generally, I think at the moment it might be 6 out of the top 10. Generally, it's 5 of the top 10 selling cars in Ireland are a Toyota. Looking at a demo Nissan X-Trail, is there anything similar you would recommend? Well, if it's a new model, that is a really nice car. And you don't see too many of them on the road. Yeah, look, this. I mean, look, that is Rav4 again. We keep talking about that. Kia Sorento. There's Santa Fe. If you're talking about the new model, they're all kind of in that kind of money. iX3 Neue Klasse versus the Xpeng G9. I need to spend more time with the G9, and I haven't seen the Neue Klasse either of the BMW, but both very interesting cars. Like Xpeng, they're often compared to BYD. They're not really in the same league in terms of size of companies, but there's 2, if not 3 Xpengs in my estate since they went on sale. I don't live in a huge estate. It's big, but they are definitely connecting with people. I will be looking at the Neue Klasse stuff again at IAA in September in Munich, so I'll again have to report back to you on that one. Right, I'll give it another 5 minutes if anyone wants to pop a question into the chat box. And yeah, let me know, like, are these any use to people? I'll obviously, it's not that difficult to do it. I can pop up once a week, a couple of times a month. I was thinking maybe these would be good for people who are not sure about cars or a type of car and they're down to the wire. They just want a little bit of reassurance that they're making the right decision. And if that was a way to do YouTube lives, that would be good. You can obviously support us in super chats and tips and likes and everything else down there. If we've helped you pick a car, I'm obviously saying, not just saying give me money. Yeah, the new 242 new shape. Yeah, that's a nice car. I was in Slovenia. First time in Slovenia ever was to drive the new X-Trail. It's an amazing, beautiful place. Rare enough car as well on Irish roads because they are dear. But the interior is so much nicer than the old model. Thoughts on the Audi 4? Are they bringing any facelifts or changes? You would think there's, yeah, like they tweaked the motor and the battery size ever so slightly. But one of my neighbours actually has a 252 ID4, and I only walked past it today. They were charging it, and it's a car that it's out 5 years now, and they haven't done any real changes to it. No, it's just looks exactly the same. Surely they were about to facelift it. I would be very confident as well the next ID3 and ID4, the new model versions, will be brilliant cars because they will have learned so much from this period. And I think Volkswagen Group are kind of in a, certainly in the last year, I don't think they're taking anything for granted anymore, and it's good. I feel like I was at the launch of the ID1 this year, and Thomas Schaefer, the CEO, did a big, we're family cars and we're a brand you can rely on and blah 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 blah, and they really seem to, I don't know, kick up the arse or something they've had, and I think they should be bringing out some interesting stuff. Definitely have used trying to make up my mind for what car to change, EV, PHEV, or petrol hybrid minefield. Yeah, no, that's fine. Like I'm lucky that I get to try lots of different things. All I say is we have an EV in our house. It's all very much model or mileage depending. I think there's 10,000 kilometers on it. I've charged it at a public charger once, and the only reason I did that was probably me, forgot to plug it in at home the night before. And there was a journey needed, and I was like, look, I'll just go to the charger down the road. And genuinely, it's been once. And if you can avoid public charging, I don't really see why you wouldn't get one. I mean, I guess the whole values are a bit uncertain still, perhaps, and people are a bit nervous of that. It's a huge amount of money to spend, and I get that. I don't think we're going to see the drops we saw over the last few years in electric cars. Any recommendations for an XC60 driver looking for a change? The so-called facelift is more or less identical. That was the same with the XC90. I was in Sweden almost a year ago to have a look at that car, and very, very subtle changes on it. Sorry, that chat has jumped. Let me reply to you. Let me have a think about it this evening, and I'll reply to that comment underneath the video and let you know. Because I just, yeah, I'm trying to. VW Tyron is a nice car. Probably similar price. I'm driving about 900 kilometers a week. Thinking of changing to a 2020 Ford Focus 1.5 diesel estate. What do you think? Yeah. Or a Skoda. Superb. Thanks, Jerry. I'm in the UK and cars in Ireland seem so expensive. Doesn't that make Tesla in Ireland seem like really good value given their prices aren't so inflated? Yes, they are. Yeah, it's there are people who are diehard Tesla fans. There's people who do not give a damn about them, and then there's people who are really anti-Musk. So there's three different types, easily three different streams of people when it comes to Tesla. But no matter what your opinion is, the prices of them for what you get, it's very, very hard to argue with them. The one thing I was thinking as well, because I was driving a Model Y last week, you know the way we all use Google Maps to, even if you know the way, just to see, you know, is there a quicker route, is there an accident, whatever. I would imagine, and let me know if you have a Tesla, a lot of Tesla drivers don't use their Google Maps because they have their own built-in with all the live data on it. And if Google Maps uses, you know, if you're stuck somewhere and it will work out and tell everyone else, oh, there's traffic here, we're potentially missing, and it's the best-selling car in the world, or has been. I think it's the RAV4 now. We're missing a lot of data as motorists around the world from Google, people using Teslas. I just thought of that. Plug-in SUV around 50 to 60. What would you choose? Again, Gary, I'll have to get back to you on that. Yeah, it's wow. SUV 50 Santa Fe. Nice car. It's not a new model underneath. It's kind of what it was, but it looks drastically different. Kia Sorento has also had a bit of a facelift, but I think the Santa Fe in the rear looks absolutely bonkers to some people. They mightn't like it. I would look at one of them. And again, so there's the range again in the Volkswagen stuff is in around 120 kilometers. So hard to look past them. There is that new Leap motor is coming. They'll launch it in September, and could be very interesting because they haven't announced the price for it yet. They will do soon. They actually registered one of them today, first one registered in Ireland, and it will be significantly less than that, and it will be plug-in hybrid, and it will be a decent range on it. So yeah, BYD CLU. Actually, if anyone else, feel free to help answer these questions. BYD CLU again, well under that price. And yeah, you know, decent enough size battery, has a petrol engine when you want it to be, when you don't want it to do that. The e-power Nissan stuff as well. A lot of these, so the Leap motor stuff, that plug-in hybrid, petrol engine will never power the wheels. It always charges the motor, and that drives the car. So they can be very, very efficient. Right, I'm conscious about I'm an hour in here, so I'm probably going to stop waffling now because I'm sure I'm annoying some of you. Kia Sportage, again, not quite at the 100-kilometer range, but 7-year warranty. Great interior legroom, particularly in the rear. It's great wheelbase on that car. Look quite nice as well. Aren't Kia one of those brands that, like, a bit like Skoda were 20 years ago, but less so in Kia, even 10, 12 years ago? Some of their cars were shocking. And now you look at them and, like, some of them are really, really good looking cars. I will also suggest just the BYD Seal. That's obviously not an SUV, but I think they're a great looking car. Danny, really enjoying this. Great for the interaction. Good way to grow the community. Thanks, Danny. Marcus Balsam. Traveling to Ireland, are there hire cars companies to stay away from? Haven't really hired many cars in Ireland, to be honest with you. We've all the usuals, the International, Hertz and Sixth and Enterprise and all the rest. So no, not that I'm aware. Yvonne, cheers, thanks for all the content. You're very, very welcome. Hope it helps at some point. And as I said, I've never done these lives before, so I assume when I hit stop, this will be a video on YouTube that will live like a normal video. So if you want to get involved that way, anything else I've missed? I just want to cover everything as much as I can, obviously, because this is the first one. Also, I haven't mentioned Oasis for people that have. I'm sure some of you watching have been at Oasis. Unbelievable gig. Where I'm now 4 days since I was there, and I'm still thinking about it a bit too much. So Oasis depression is definitely a real thing this week. I don't think either of them are into cars. I think they're more chauffeur driven kind of guys. But if you were there, I'm sure you had a great time as well. Um, so yeah, just thank you very much for doing this, for taking the time. Thanks for all the comments on the video that I did, the walking around video as I'm calling it. Um, I've actually a couple of people reached out to me with their own cars for that. Someone offered me a Bentley. Have a look at an old Bentley, which would be which would be class. So yeah, I don't want to keep doing the same. I want to certainly still do the new stuff, but if there are new ways to kind of just grow the channel, make it a little bit diverse, I'm all about that. And yeah, I'll actually come back to some of these questions as well on the podcast. So go and have a look at Drivers of Public Podcast. There will be a new series launching this week as well. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this first edition of YouTube Live here on Nobby On Cars. And I will